Welcome, my dear audience and friends, to Cancer Convos with Grace B. This is your host, Grace B, coming to you from New York City, the city that never sleeps and is home to Cancer Convos with Grace B. Now, for the newbies, this show aims to demystify the cancer disease and bring on experts and stakeholders in the cancer space to come give their valid opinions. Like I always harp, until there's a cure, prevention is the cure. So make sure this is Cancer Screen Week. Make sure to have your screens done, and all that. So this is the second part of my conversation about CBD. And like you know, the first topic is to CBD or not to CBD. Now, that's the question on everyone's lips. So cancer patients like me and suffers from chronic illnesses have been faced with an option to alleviate pains and side effects from cancer treatments. And I thought to bring this on the show so that someone could give her insights from her point of view. This is my second amazing guest who's going to be talking about this, and I would like to introduce her very soon. Now, the known benefits associated with THC and all that, the legalization of marijuana and everything is so complicated, but a lot of people still swear by its efficacy. So to take us down and explain to us what it is, CBD, THC, I would love to welcome my amazing guest, Jill Woodworth, to the show. Welcome, Jill, and so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Grace. It's an honor to be on. Thank you so much. And I could talk about CBD and cannabis all day.
Oh,
so.
Wow. We have a lot to learn from you in this episode, I'm sure. So actually, I didn't want, even though, your bio and everything is going to be in my show notes, but I wanted the audience to actually hear you out, what you're all about. So what started your interest and foray into CBD?
It's kind of a two-part. I think personally, I started hearing, I'd say around 2014, 2015, cannabis, I believe it was medically legal in Massachusetts. And I was, and I'm going to mention cannabis. I know we're talking about CBD, so and I can talk about that a little more, but I think my interest started with just regular cannabis. Actually, I went through several recovery programs. I will just share briefly that I have 3 children. I have 5 children. 3 children have a genetic condition called Tuberous Sclerosis Complex. Mm-hmm. So, in the process of raising them, I got very stressed out and had to go get some support. And in the recovery process, there was a lot of pharmaceuticals added to my regimen, and I started reading about them. And I was sick a lot. I pretty athletic. I'm still a runner. I run every day, and I just felt like I wasn't as well as I'd been in the past, and was curious as to why, why I needed to be on all these pharmaceuticals, and started doing, and I'm not knocking them. I think that there's a lot of wonderful ways that we can be healed and have our health improved. It's just a lot of times in our medical system, they're prescribed here and there, and sometimes there's not a consideration of the interactions and what. But anyway, so I started, reading about that people were using cannabis and CBD. I didn't even know about CBD. I just heard cannabis for various like mental health issues and physical health. So I started hearing about it and reading about it, and at the same time thinking maybe I could, and learning that other people had done this, they'd kind of gotten off of some of their pharmaceuticals. And so that's where I started my own journey, and I did explore that, and slowly tapered off my many medications prescribed in a treatment recovery program, and started to feel really better. And I was really surprised. It's kind of like one thing to read about it, and it's kind of like, you're like, yeah, maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. And that's kind of what I thought. I thought, oh, it's just to get high or whatever. but then I started digging in and realizing there's just so much more there. And
Yeah.
and so then two-part, learning about it, hearing that people were using it for autism and for epilepsy, and having my kids the same thing, that they are on just a whole medicine cabinet of pharmaceuticals, and wanting to maybe relieve some of that. So, and also knowing that the THC component of cannabis,
Hmm.
um, needed to be really careful with that with them. So CBD seemed like the safer option. So I started really learning more about CBD itself, and I'll talk about it, but there's other cannabinoids along with CBD that are non-psychoactive that are also helpful. And we're just at the very beginning of learning about this amazing plant, because of it's really been a political and a lot of legal issues around it. So that's
Exactly, exactly. It's the legal, we will come to the legal issues very soon,
okay.
because, yeah, what people don't realize is that the hemp plant has been used from the 1800s for several things. And so it's strange to realize that now it's considered taboo, so to speak. So we're actually happy that people like you are bringing this to the fore. To make sure that you're not forced to, it's not mandatory, but especially for us, like cancer patients, for example. I have met a lot of people who have said, during chemo, I'm so sorry, but I had to do it, I had to take drops and all that. But we'll come to that, because I need
Sure.
you to expatiate, not to gloss over it now. So CBD and THC are, as you had rightly said, are synonymous with cannabis. But for those of us who do not know, I know, and probably a few others that would watch this video, educate us on the similarities or differences, please.
Sure. It's all the same plant. It's just the hemp plant is basically where we get CBD, and it's the way I'm not an expert on this particular aspect of the discussion, but
Mm-hmm.
um, it is bred more for, the hemp plant is non-psychoactive. So and you can actually harvest it at different points in the growth cycle to
Okay.
capitalize, or to access different cannabinoids. It's the it's the same plant. It's just there's one. It's grown. It's got female, so you're using the female seeds, and
Okay.
if it's the male seeds, you're going to get CBD. So the female's good. Male, if you're looking for that essentially the same plant. It's just really how it's
Extracted,
extracted
like you
and
were
grown.
talking about the, what did you call it? Terpenes or something like that?
Terpenes, right? And that
Right.
is another part of the terpenes are part of they're give it the aroma, and they
Okay.
add to the experience. And they actually are finding out that the terpenes have a lot of properties that are therapeutic and healing as
Medicinal
well.
too.
Medicinal,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So
Okay. That's
that answered it
good to
very
know.
well. Yeah.
That's good to know, because actually my first guest said basically the same thing you did. So it's good to know that,
We're being consistent.
yes,
Yeah.
you're being consistent. So for what you used during, this period of pain, and also
Mhm.
for your children, what forms does CBD actually, for these purposes, does it come in?
I'd say, well, it comes in so many different forms.
Mm.
You can take a pill. You can smoke it. You can you can make edibles, and you can use tincture. And in fact, I have a little bottle here. This is like a tincture bottle of CBD.
Okay.
And you just take out, and you have a dropper, and you put it under your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really popular way to consume it. And the edibles, I would say, take longer to get into your system. So you're looking at, and sometimes it has a different effect because of the way of your metabolism going through your digestive system in that form. Um, So there's
So,
that.
so
And
what you're trying to say is that the tincture goes directly. I mean, when you put it, you've just shown me now, you put it under your tongue,
yep.
right?
So it's sublingual. Yep.
Yes, it's sublingual, and therefore the ones that are put in edibles, so it takes more time, to.
Yeah, and it actually sometimes it has a little bit of a different effect. I know if you're consuming a
Okay,
THC edible, it's going to be a lot more intense, longer
right.
lasting high or experience. And so you've got to figure out what works best for you. One thing with cannabis is nobody's the same, obviously, and what works for one, what form works for one person might not work for another. And then there's the stronger like oils that are kind of like a tincture, the FICO and the RSO. And I know a lot of cancer patients do use those really strong oils.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's tincture and edibles and let me think. There's like hash and trying to think of the other forms. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Anyway, what I wanted to find out was, I have a friend of mine too that, one of the side effects of chemotherapy is neuropathy,
mhm.
and she got this ointment as well to be able to use to
Yes,
massage her
topical.
feet, which was, CBD infused, and she seemed to find a lot of relief, kind of.
I completely forgot topical because that's a really big
Topical,
one. In fact, I
exactly.
brought this as a topical roll-on that is a CBD and CBG combination, and
Hmm.
this has been exceptional for. I use this with my son who is now using some cannabinoid medicine, and you can
So
apply.
that one is for what? That one you're holding, what is that for?
Well, it's for pain, and it also is for, systemic. It will give it go into your bloodstream, and this one happens to be a nano CBD and CBG, so it's very small
Okay.
molecules, and
Hmm.
it gets in quickly and gives real good bang for the buck. So this is becoming more and more as people learn how to formulate this type of cannabis.
Hmm.
It's really effective, and it also bypasses the digestive system, so it's not going to interact with any other medications. Which for cancer patients, I know that you're probably taking medications and stuff, and sometimes a topical might be a better choice.
Hmm.
And it's not going to go after some types of pain. More inflammation-based pain
Yeah.
would be would be ideal. But so there's just so many and there's different forms of tinctures and topicals, and then there's the salve too that you rub on. Like, I think I have one,
Okay.
a body balm. This is like a body balm.
Right. Yes.
So
Yes.
that also is can be very effective. I do know that sometimes with the topicals, if it's not formulated, I would go with a really good brand because sometimes they're not any good. So yeah, that's probably something we're going to get into. But
Yes,
don't.
we're going to talk about that brand because CBD is all over the place. You can go to the gas station and buy it. You see all these brands and you don't know which is actually, which actually claims to do what they say they do. You understand? So since everybody's willing to try out anything just to get some kind of relief from pain, you see them going for just anything based on, what CBD is supposed to do. So of course we know that the CBD market has expanded considerably, and you
Yep.
know people like us, we swear by it. It's popular now. But from your own point of view, why is CBD increasingly popular now? Why do you think?
It's a really good question. I think there's probably multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are learning more that are, if that it works, and they don't need to go be as reliant on a doctor. If they can treat something at home that they might have to go to a doctor to get some kind of a prescription for, if you can access it without a prescription, that's one reason.
Mm-hmm.
And the non-psychoactive aspect of it, it's not going to get you high. You can use it during the day. and you can really take a lot, and there's really very minimal side effects. However, people should be aware that it does interact with other medications, so you definitely want to check that out. And so I think it's there's lots of reasons why it's not that expensive. And I think there's just, the market just is crazy, and there's a lot of people coming in that don't really know what they're doing. They're not formulating it to where it's a good quality. They might be using a lesser hemp product, or not a clean processing plant, and they might not even be getting it tested. You'd always want to check the labels and make sure that the dates, it's been tested recently, and there's no pesticide, and there's a whole list of things that you don't want to have in your CBD.
Yes,
So,
I was just coming to that. You beat me to it, because I needed you to, that person that would be watching right now, to say what advice would you give them, when purchasing CBD products. And thank you for mentioning, independent testing. So independent testing, could you tell us what it entails?
independent testing would be not associated with, it would be a separate lab. So there's no, like, if you have your own testing done on site, and who's to say you couldn't, like, alter that in some way? So you're getting
That is, if you are running the show.
Right.
For commercial purposes, right?
Exactly, for commercial
Okay.
purposes. If you're producing it, and you want to get you don't care about how it really works or whatever, and you want to make money off of it, saying it's tested on site, or kind of just burying that detail in the paperwork that's with the product.
Yes.
So you want to look for independent testing from a lab that's outside of the actual wherever it's produced. So it's a separate independent lab that's, and you can research that with different types of CBD. You can look at the labels, and I think that might even be too complicated for a lot of people. So when I started looking into it, I just talked to people that had done it before, that I found to be reputable, and I just started asking them, what brands are you guys buying? Where are you getting this? And what's a good brand? So I think for me, that's a lot easier than worrying too much about the testing, though I still always look at the bottle and make sure, that it's not expired. And
and having the, what is it, the barcode, because somebody was talking about the barcode earlier.
You can have a barcode that I know. I actually have a product that I developed, another business that I worked with a guy that developed the topical CBD CBG. And so we have a little, like a QR code that links to our site, and the barcode is, and so right there, you can pull up the testing, you can look at the dates, and they test, you want to make sure that they're testing each batch, because it's produced in batches.
Okay.
So that's another detail, that it should say a batch number on it.
The batch number, right? That's good advice. Yeah.
And you should be able to find this information on the website. It shouldn't be that hard to find. They should put it front and center. If it's hard to find the testing information, or if it's not there, I'd be a little wary.
Okay, so, and somebody was also, my other guest was also talking about the soil and water components where these things are grown, because sometimes hemp is apparently said to suck out, what should I say, all the dirt and grime or whatever, is a cleansing plant, so to speak. Yes, it's a cleanser. Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. You want to make sure it's grown in a place where it's not absorbing a lot of extra chemicals, heavy metals, pesticides. Yeah, and the testing should show that. It should be tested for heavy metals and solvents and all that. So
Oh, that's magnificent. So anybody that is watching has to make sure that they abide by these. Like you rightly said, it shouldn't be too difficult, but sometimes you were lucky to have the opportunity to meet other people that could give you some advice and where you could ask questions. But there's some people that are lost, don't know where to go, or so these will be like good takeaways for them to hang on to when they're looking to find out much more about CBD and uh, related issues. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
I can
so
even
much.
give you
Yes,
some
go ahead.
links for that. No, I was just going to say that I could even provide for you that you could put in the show notes or whatever, some links
Yes.
to some good brands and some sites where you can get good information.
That would be highly welcome. I was
Yeah,
going to ask you for that so that with that information, I could put it out on, put them in my show notes for anyone that would be interested in taking a look, and seeing what they can, find out there. So, Jill, this has been so wonderful. I would love you to, tell the audience more about what you do and your information too, aside the other information will be in my show notes as well. What's your business all about? And you were talking about, a co-worker, somebody you work with. Tell us all about that, please.
sure. I kind of have my foot in two businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm co-owner of a podcast platform called TSC Talks,
Mm-hmm.
and I launched that with actually because of a need of what I felt like maybe you can relate to this, a need to talk about the process and the case management around this rare disease that my offspring had, and see, I felt like there was just so many gaps in what I was hearing from doctors and other professionals.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, hey, nobody's really telling you the hard parts that people need to know, that people need to be able to connect with another person going through the same thing. So I started the podcast to talk about Tuberous Sclerosis Complex as a parent, and started interviewing other parents and other people that were affected, and then medical professionals and other professionals that work with this population. And slowly, I kind of ended up kind of veering off of just being immersed in the TSC world, because it's kind of a rare disease, and I wanted to expand, and ended up starting, talking to people with autism, and eventually really kind of my personal interest in cannabis at the same time was developing. So and I was starting to really be frustrated with the disconnects and the just lack of cohesiveness as children age into the adult realm. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the services fall off, and you're dealing, if you don't have a parent that's helping you case manage, you
Mm-hmm.
really just get eaten, pushed down by the system. So anyways, so I saw that cannabis might be an opportunity to get away from just talking about, all these really kind of sad and depressing stories, and give people some hope, and
Yes.
um, and another tool in the toolbox for managing their care that's not quite that they can actually take a little bit of charge of their own care, and you know and possibly reduce the pharmaceutical load. um, so that's how I ended up. And I once I kind of went down that road, um, I've just learned so much about all this alternative natural remedies and different
And options, yes.
options. Yeah. So that's the podcast. And then through that process, while I was interviewing people, I actually bumped into this gentleman named Mike Robinson, who has a stepdaughter with severe autism, and he was using cannabis for his own. He actually uses it for his cancer. He's
Mm-hmm.
had cancer 3 times, and I believe he's in remission. And then implementing it for his stepdaughter, who was pretty much, I don't want to say a vegetable, but she was seizing like 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
and just taking her from there to where now she's going to school. She's still nonverbal, but she's toilet trained. I mean, huge strides, just
Wow.
using cannabis. Now he's um, got just a lot of connections and knowledge, so it wasn't just like your guy off the street just bounced into it. But
Mm-hmm.
I was like fascinated. I was like, I've got to learn about this because maybe I can, I can help my kids. I can help teach these people in the community that there's other ways to manage this condition, or they can supplement what they're doing already with this more natural, um, this natural plant. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess I started learning about the endocannabinoid system. And I don't want to take too much time on this, but I feel like I should just mention it. We all
Please
have an
do.
endocannabinoid system. It's a major physiological system of, and it contributes to homeostasis. So we all have it. It's not taught in medical school because of the, basically we have an organ-based system, and to implement that would basically mean rewriting everything. So, I learned about that, and really it's just, I don't know, I just felt like that's where the podcast needed to be, in
Mm-hmm.
this alternative health space. So that's where I am. I talk about and marginalization and oppression in the systems of care that we depend on. I feel, and I'm sure you can relate to this, you're just um, I feel like there's a lot of power. There's a power structure, and there's a lot of there's a lot of profit made from healthcare and medical care,
Mm-hmm.
and no one's looking out for the patient. No one's
Mm-hmm.
really there. And so just empowering, parents and individuals affected, just to feel like they know something, because you go through, and this, you go through all these experiences and you're learning. It's not like you're not
No, you're
learning.
learning as you go ahead. You're meeting
Right.
people, different perspectives, all that. That's why we have the platforms that we have, so we
Exactly.
can push all these issues to the fore. Because, like you rightly said, nobody's talking about it, and it's systemic.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
systemic.
Yeah. So so that's the podcast. And then, like I said, I met this gentleman, Mike Robinson, and we
Mm-hmm.
somehow got together, and I worked with a couple other people, and he formulated a product called, we've named it Forest Bathing. You can see the forest, and it's
Yes.
CBD CBG topical that is, I said nano before, so it's got nano, it's small particles, and it's got
Mm-hmm.
terpenes in it.
Mm-hmm.
Smells lovely. And so we had the process of building and marketing a product, which has been such a challenge because of the legal issues. I will say we've probably lost money.
Yeah.
Timing with COVID was bad too, but we're keeping at it. And yeah, I am thrilled about getting the opportunity to work in this space and to talk to people about how they can take charge of their own health. Um,
Yes,
so
indeed. That is very pertinent for people to know, to be part of their, not leave it to beaver kind of thing, to be part of
there's
their medical trajectory and know, you know, uh, well-being is it shouldn't be complicated, so far as you know exactly what it is your body can take or not take, even your mind, what it is, you can take or not take. Because when people like us are going through cancer or autism, looking after autistic children or whatever, there's just so much that's happening, and it's not just the body itself, it's the mind.
so true.
So we honestly, so that is major during well-being. When you're talking about well-being, is the mind first. So I think that patients, survivors, should be able to choose what it is they, what road they want to go on, and not be mandated to do pharma all the time. I'm sorry to say, yes, pharma is instrumental to a lot of us still
Hmm.
here today, but we should be able to, like you rightly said, you were on medication before you now got better after using this. I've heard so many people say the same thing. And so there must be, it's not just about CBD or getting high or whatever. No, it's
Right.
actually doing something good. and
Right.
and that is the message we want to also portray and project when we're talking about it. A lot of people wouldn't love it, wouldn't like it, but as you never know if you don't try, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not for everybody, and it doesn't,
mhm.
everybody's system is different. I will say that I would say probably 100% of the population probably has some form of endocannabinoid deficiency. People with autism have that. So when your body takes it, your system takes a hit,
Yes.
it throws everything off balance, and so then it's overcompensated or undercompensated in such a way that disease develops. And so if you're using cannabis or CBD, actually just CBD, you can get back into some homeostasis.
Regulate, yes.
And a lot of the minor, like for instance, fibromyalgia is a real low-hanging fruit for cannabis or CBD in terms of being an endocannabinoid deficiency. And it's amazing. You know, I've implemented it with my son, and he's still on pharma, and we've kind of balancing it, but it really made a huge difference. And it wasn't like it fixed him. It just kind of helped, I would say, not only with his overall health, but his mental health. And so, you know, those things are just like, to take a kid who's got like rage or aggression issues, which he definitely had, and to use a natural substance that, you know, you don't have to necessarily go through the doctor for. Though when you are managing a child or personally a complicated medical diagnosis, you do want to have that
Yes.
medical feedback.
Medical, yes,
because I'm not a doctor. Yeah. So
oh yes, that's understandable. That you must, especially you're dealing with a child, and then those issues are complex. Like you said, it's a rare disease, so one also has to be careful to what one is putting into the body.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, a lot of these children or adults, again, they're on a bunch of medication. So if you're going to introduce CBD, you want to make sure that you're working with someone, or you've investigated how it will impact the other medications. It will increase the intensity of, like, for instance, clobazam is a anti-seizure med, and CBD will make that much stronger. So, you know, you just never know. And
so this is where the doses come into play, right? Knowing what to...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
not that they don't, but knowing so that it's not too extreme.
Right.
Too much.
Right. I would say start low, go slow.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. Oh, wow. This has been an amazing conversation, Jill. I wish we could do this whole day long. I'm going to have to bring you back again, you know, to talk about this. So I'm going to sign out now, but before I sound you out, you know, sign you out, I'm going to, you know, sign out and talk to the audience. Okay?
Okay.
So, my dear audience and friends, there you have it. You've been listening to the amazing Jill Woodworth, who has been giving us her point of view about CBD, its uses, the controversy, and what the takeaways are. So, the key takeaways are that you can't get high with CBD. It's legal and safe to consume. However, you also have to make sure that if you're under any or having to deal with any medication, you have to make sure that, you know, everything is in sync and you're not doing too much or doing too little. You know, for many people now, CBD is becoming a healthy addition to their lifestyle and well-being. And so I think that you should all be encouraged to do your research, educate yourselves, and make your own choice. That is, to CBD or not to CBD. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. This is Grace B signing out. Thanks, guys. God bless. Thank you so much, Jill.
Oh,
much
you're welcome.
love to
My
your family.
Pleasure. Thank you. You too. Take care.
See you again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.